Most Yamaha outboards will never get anywhere near 10,000 hours. Plenty fail well before 1,000, while a small handful have earned genuine reputations among commercial captains and charter operators for running for decades without ever needing a full rebuild. There are exactly 5 Yamaha models with real, documented cases of reaching that number, and every single one of them earned it the same way: mechanical simplicity, oversized internal tolerances, and a design proven over enough real-world hours that the failure points got engineered out generations ago rather than left for the next model year to fix. Here is exactly why these 5, and only these 5, get talked about in 10,000-hour terms at all. 2 things separate an outboard that dies at 1,500 hours from one still running at 10,000. The first is the number of moving parts that can fail, which is why simpler 2-stroke architecture from Yamaha's most proven generation keeps showing up in this conversation over far newer, more complex designs loaded with sensors and electronics that add convenience but also add failure points. The second is duty cycle. An engine run hard and consistently, maintained on a real schedule, actually outlasts one that sits for months at a time and gets started cold every spring after a long winter in storage. Most recreational boaters log somewhere between 50 and 100 hours a year, meaning even a modest 1,500-hour lifespan can cover 15 to 30 years of casual weekend use without ever approaching these numbers. The engines on this list were pushed far past that recreational baseline in commercial and charter service instead, run day after day rather than sitting idle between trips, which is exactly why their hour counts stand out from everything else on the water. Every engine on this list got both of those factors right, and none of them got there by accident. Starting with number 5. Number 5, the Yamaha 200 HPDI. This was Yamaha's direct-injected 2-stroke V6, built on the same 2.6-liter block that powered the OX66 before it, and boaters who have run both consistently call it one of the most reliable outboards ever built, full stop, not just among 2-strokes specifically. One owner who cross-shopped it against a 4-stroke put it plainly: he knew of several 200 HPDI units sitting around 1,000 hours and still going strong, and a sea tow captain running commercial hours on the water reported one specific boat with twin 200 HPDI units that had reached 4,000 hours combined without a rebuild between them. Direct injection solved the smoke and fuel economy complaints that plagued older carbureted 2-strokes while keeping the same low parts count that makes a 2-stroke fundamentally simpler to keep alive for decades. No valves, no cams, no timing chain, nothing to wear out except pistons, rings, and bearings that Yamaha built to handle sustained commercial duty from day one rather than casual weekend use. Number 4. The Yamaha OX66, the carbureted 2-stroke V6 that came before the HPDI on that same 2.6-liter block. This is the specific engine commercial captains in Alaska are talking about when they mention Yamaha's quietly racking up 10,000 hours in charter and commercial fishing service, often running 6 days a week for months at a stretch during the fishing season with barely a day off between trips. It is mechanically the simplest engine on this list. No fuel injection electronics, no ECU dependency, just a carburetor, a magneto, and a rotating assembly built heavy enough to shrug off the kind of sustained, wide-open throttle running that would cook a lighter, more delicate design built for weekend recreational use instead. That simplicity is exactly why it keeps coming up in commercial fleets specifically, where boats run every single day rather than sitting for a week between trips, and where a mechanic without a laptop or a dealer scan tool can diagnose and fix nearly anything that goes wrong with it right at the dock, often within the same afternoon, keeping the boat back out working instead of sitting in a shop waiting on a diagnostic appointment. Number 3. The Yamaha 200, 225, and 254 stroke V6, all built on the same 3.3-liter powerhead, Yamaha sold under 3 different horsepower ratings from 1999 until 2008, when the 4.2-liter model eventually joined it as a larger option rather than a replacement for the smaller block. Multiple owners on boating forums describe seeing this exact powerhead with 6,500 hours running, in their words, purring like kittens, with no indication the engine was anywhere close to needing major work. Boating forums dedicated to offshore fishing consistently note that commercial operators and the Coast Guard get 5,000 to 10,000 hours out of these 4 strokes with real regularity rather than as a rare exception worth bragging about, a detail repeated across multiple independent threads rather than traced back to a single source. Because Yamaha sold the identical block across 3 different horsepower badges for nearly a decade, the engineering had years of real fleet data behind it before Yamaha ever moved on to the next generation design, and that shared architecture spread across so many boats and duty cycles is exactly why the hour counts on this specific powerhead run so consistently high across so many different owners rather than being a one-off story tied to a single lucky engine. Number 2, the Yamaha F250, built on that same 3.3-liter 4-stroke V6 architecture as the 200 and 225, just tuned for the top end of that power band. One owner reported his F250 sitting past 3,000 hours and running, in his own words, like a top, with no signs of slowing down. Yamaha kept selling this exact 3.3-liter block alongside the newer 4.2-liter design for years afterward, specifically because the smaller block had already proven itself reliable at a level the newer engine hadn't yet earned through its own fleet history. When a manufacturer keeps an older, smaller displacement engine in its own current lineup right next to a newer, larger one instead of quietly retiring it, that is the company's own internal service and warranty data telling them not to mess with something that has already proven it works under real load. If this has been helpful, be sure to subscribe. Number 1, the Yamaha F115. This is the model with the single most striking documented case behind it. A commercial charter operator running out of Los Angeles has a specific F115 with more than 10,000 hours on the original powerhead, still in active daily charter service today. That is not a forum boast about a friend of a friend or a secondhand story passed around a marina. That is one identifiable boat in one identifiable commercial application, running the same specific engine every working day for years on end without needing that powerhead replaced or rebuilt. The F115 sits in the sweet spot of Yamaha's 4-stroke lineup. Enough displacement and cooling capacity to handle sustained load without running hot, but light enough and mechanically simple enough, a 4-cylinder rather than a V6, that there are fewer components in the entire engine to fail in the first place compared to its larger siblings. Commercial charter operations do not run sentimental engines out of loyalty or brand preference. They run whatever survives being started every single morning and worked hard every single day for a paying customer. And the F115 is the specific model that has earned the right to still be doing that after 10,000 hours of exactly that treatment. One practical note before you go shopping for any of these 5. An hour meter alone proves almost nothing, because meters get swapped along with a repower or reset entirely, and a number on a gauge is not the same as documentation. Ask for the actual service history instead: oil changes, water pump impeller replacements, and lower unit gear oil changes, and check whether those dates line up with the hours claimed. A compression test across every cylinder takes a mechanic under 20 minutes and tells you more than any hour count ever could, since even readings across all cylinders mean the wear is consistent rather than concentrated in one weak cylinder heading toward failure. On the carbureted OX66 specifically, ask directly about oil consumption. since a two-stroke burning noticeably more oil than it used to is typically the earliest real warning sign of ring wear, showing up well before the engine actually quits on you. None of this takes more than an afternoon, and every one of these checks tells you more about the specific engine sitting in front of you than the model name ever will by itself. The pattern across all 5 of these is the same one every commercial captain already knows, and every recreational buyer should learn before shopping for a used outboard. None of them are Yamaha's newest, most feature-loaded engines with the longest options list. All 5 are older, mechanically simpler, extensively proven designs that had years, sometimes a full decade, of real fleet hours behind them before anyone ever expected them to last this long in the first place. Reaching 10,000 hours was never a guarantee stamped on a spec sheet or promised in a brochure. It's the result of a proven design, run daily, maintained on schedule, by people who could not afford for it to fail on a working day. If you are shopping for a used Yamaha and you see one of these 5 specific engines with genuinely documented maintenance records behind it, you are not looking at a tired old motor nearing the end of its life. You are looking at the exact kind of engine commercial operators trust with their entire livelihood every single day on the water. And that is a far better indicator of what's actually inside it than the model year on the cowling.